If you have wondered why it has taken so long for this vote to get underway tonight, it's because, likely, of my next guest and a handful of his colleagues. He refused to vote for Speaker Boehner's plan. Republican Congressman Huelskamp of Kansas joins me now live from Washington. Congressman, good evening. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you joining us here. Tell me right now, if you can, you're not voting for this plan now. Is that correct?
No, sir.
Why not?
Not good enough. We have a very big problem, and I appreciate the Speaker's efforts in trying to get something through when you have a Senate that won't have a debate even on our cut, cap, and balance bill. But we need a bill that solves the problem long term, and I don't think this does enough. And I'm optimistic we can still do a better job to solve our nation's problems.
Have you been called in by the leadership this afternoon?
Oh, they'll catch me on the floor, but I have not been in the office. I made it very clear very early on that I think we could do much better.
What are you hearing from those other Republicans, though? I'm guessing what they're saying to you is, look, we need to pull together. You need to join us. But specifically, what are they saying to you?
Well, they are indicating that this is very important, that this is the only thing that can happen. And then we hear word that this may be tabled in the Senate again. And my concern is still with the Senate that refuses to vote on any plan. I think cut, cap, balance is the plan, and the balanced budget amendment has to be done. When we hear about downgrades or defaults, my concern is that a bill like this is simply not good enough to avoid a downgrade.
Is there anything out there that would satisfy you right now? I mean, what if the Speaker came back to you and said, you know what, we're going to delay this till tomorrow or whatever, and we're going to have the vote, but I need to know what you want. What do you want?
I want a solution and not a deal. I want something that works long term, and that was cut, cap, and balance, and I think it's still the answer, still the solution, and a balanced budget amendment has to be part of that because we are in a huge debt crisis. We are in a huge overspending problem, and we've got to solve that. And, you know, the first-year cuts, depending how you count it, is less than the post office loss last year. That's simply not good enough.
Yeah, but, Congressman, you and I spoke in Washington the other day. You seem like a very reasonable guy. And you know that there are many people who've watched Washington a long time who say what you want simply cannot be accomplished right now. You don't have the votes for it. Are you willing to walk away from the table with nothing rather than some compromise?
Well, apparently there are no votes for anything right now, but I think we have leaders in the Senate and in the White House that refuse to allow the process to move forward. But we have to have a solution. I wasn't sent here to do only what Washington thought we could do. I was sent here to represent 700,000 folks in Kansas that want significant structural changes in how Washington works. And that's the way I promised to vote, and that's what they're looking for. I had to tell the town hall last night with about 20,000 constituents, and they were very clear this plan is not good enough.
So what do you do now at this point? You guys also don't have the momentum to get what you want. Nobody seems to have it right now. How does this stalemate get broken?
Well, we're working with senators, conservative senators that are looking for a balanced budget amendment. I think that's the key thing, the key structural reform that Americans do support by wide margins, and pushing that forward and trying to require Senator Harry Reid to let him vote on a balanced budget amendment. Let him have the vote. Let 22 U.S. senators get up on the floor of the Senate and actually vote against what they said back home. We've got enough votes in the Senate
if you get the vote,
they would let it bring it to a vote.
If you get the vote, whether or not you succeed with the vote, will that satisfy you?
No, it won't satisfy me, and it won't satisfy our credit ratings.
Okay,
they want something long-term structural.
One more question I want to ask before you. Are you willing to let the federal government default, whether it's in a few days or some people argue it'll be in a couple of weeks, but nonetheless, are you willing to let it default, or do you think something still has to be done before that?
Oh, I believe something needs to be done, and it has to be done to avoid a default and a downgrade. And that's hard for Washington to do big things because they're so used to the status quo.
All right, Congressman Huelskamp, I wish we had more time, but thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight, and let us know how your vote continues to progress as this goes on.
Thank you.
Now I want to bring in